Hey everyone, and welcome to this explainer. Today we're unpacking a text that is, honestly, pretty provocative. It completely challenges the foundational assumptions of modern physics, and really of reality itself. If you've ever felt like our current scientific models are missing a massive piece of the puzzle, you're going to find this source material absolutely fascinating. We'll be strictly examining the arguments presented in a text called The Level Beyond, exploring its bold claims head-on. So get ready, because we are going straight to the absolute limits of what we know, and more importantly, what the text claims we're actively avoiding. So why do physicists refuse to answer the questions that really matter? Now, that's a heavy accusation, right? But it's the core premise of the text we're looking at today. The author comes right out of the gate suggesting that the scientific establishment isn't just failing to solve the universe's biggest mysteries, they're actually willfully ignoring them. According to the source, there's a deliberate refusal to tackle these profound questions. Throughout this deep dive, we're going to look at exactly what those ignored questions are and the reasons the author believes they keep getting pushed aside. All right, let's get into Section 1, Two Views of Reality. To really grasp this critique, we kind of have to look at the current status quo in the physics community. Basically, physicists today describe the universe using two totally different rulebooks. On one hand, you've got the theory for the large, that's general relativity, and on the other hand, you have the theories for the small, quantum mechanics and quantum field theory. Now, as the text points out, physicists talk endlessly about unifying these two views, trying to find that one grand, unified picture of reality, but they haven't been able to do it. They're trapped between these two massive, seemingly incompatible frameworks. And our source argues that bridging this gap might actually be impossible if we stick to our current ways of thinking. Which brings us to Section 2, the scientific establishment critique. So why hasn't this unification happened? Well, the text throws a pretty bold claim out there. Quote, "This at present seems a money problem to me. People are afraid of their position, perhaps." I mean, wow. It's arguing that the reluctance to tackle these deep, foundational questions is actually driven by funding concerns and self-preservation. The author is essentially saying that physicists are scared to lose their professional standing, their jobs, or their grants by chasing mysteries that fall outside the neatly fundable paradigms of accepted science. It firmly shifts the blame from a lack of scientific capability to a lack of institutional courage. The author then asks us to take a step back from all that academic politics and just look at the nature of the universe itself. The text says, take a step back and ask what properties reality has so that the small behaves according to certain rules, and the large according to certain other rules that cannot be unified yet. The point here is that reality behaves according to its own properties. We look at that and infer laws. But reality? It absolutely does not care how we do that or what conclusions we draw. It just does its thing. The universe isn't trying to twist itself into a pretzel to fit our mathematical models. It simply exists. Let's move on to Section 3, the unanswered questions. So, what are these big ignored questions? First up, what is reality made of? It sounds so simple, almost like a question a kid would ask, right? But the text highlights this as the ultimate unsolved puzzle of our universe. Instead of just churning out more complex formulas to describe how things interact, the author challenges the establishment to answer what the fundamental substance of reality actually is at its absolute core. Pushing even further into the micro level, the text asks, what is a fermion made of? For the author, just slapping a name on a fundamental particle and watching what it does is just not enough. The claim here is that the scientific community is willfully ignoring the deeper inquiry into the actual physical makeup of these particles themselves. And then, immediately following that up, the author asks, how is a fermion constructed? Because even if we somehow knew what they were made of, the text points out that we literally have no idea how they're put together. The mechanics of their construction are a total blank. By bringing this up, the source is shining a spotlight on a massive blind spot. We are building these huge, sprawling theories of the universe on top of particles whose internal construction is a complete mystery. And, apparently, it's a mystery nobody wants to touch.
This leads us to Section 4, Beyond Human Perspectives.
Now, having questioned physical matter, the author pivots completely toward the abstract tools, the human viewpoints we use to measure all this stuff. And here, the text directly challenges the scientific community's reliance on math. The author asks, why do we not investigate the fundamental problems in mathematics before we declare mathematics wholly as a tool? It's a super fascinating perspective. We rely on math to try and bridge the large and the small, but the source argues we're just blindly accepting math as this flawless, sacred language of the universe while completely ignoring its own inherent limitations. Think about it. If our ultimate measuring stick is flawed, how can we possibly expect it to give us a flawless picture of reality? And that brings us to a really provocative final thought from our source. The text asks, why do we not investigate the impossibility of QM and GR to combine? Because they are both human views, human perspectives on reality. What a massive paradigm shift to consider. The text leaves us wondering if the reason we can't unify quantum mechanics and general relativity isn't because we haven't found the magic equation yet, but because they are merely flawed human attempts to box in a reality we just don't fully comprehend. Are our greatest scientific achievements really just our own subjective viewpoints projected onto a universe that simply does its thing? It's a powerful question for sure, and one that challenges the very bedrock of modern physics. Anyway, thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I hope this deep dive into the level beyond has given you a lot to chew on.